So Amin bhai, I cannot hear you, but we are just trying to go ahead now. So Amin bhai, I cannot hear you, uh, but somehow you're able to hear me. So there's something wrong with the, I guess, this join.me. So okay, guys, if you're all able to hear that, there's another allow permission to join. So I'm just allowing that. I'm unable to hear. So viewer 12 says, okay guys, so everyone again, are you able to hear me? So can you all confirm that in the chat? I just need to see the long line of yes, 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 and that would be great. If anyone is not able to hear me, then also just let me know. Ha ha ha, that was just funny. Of course, if you can't hear me, then how can you let me know? So, I hope everyone is able to hear me. So I'm just going to put that message there as well. Suppose somebody's not able to hear that of me, then can you all hear me? So those who said yes, it's okay. You don't have to reply that. Can you all hear me? Okay, if you can all hear me, then first thing is go Raptors go, woohoo! Okay, well, let's get back to the course. So now what we need to do is we can just go for the introduction of the course, and hopefully, okay, so from Amin Bhai, please, Shujat. Okay, go, cool. Thank you. So guys, let's start the intro. There's in the chat a lot of messages coming. Hi all, welcome to the cloud class. There's a message in the chat, so please do hear the chat. Do see, not here, see the chat as well. Now what we're trying to do here is I've been teaching this cloud course with the two Azure and AWS, the top cloud skills and certifications required in the market. So then I thought of just starting the Google Cloud as well, because so many students in other classes of cloud are telling me that their companies are uh, having Google Cloud as well. A majority of the students coming from, of course, Greater Toronto area, there are saying managers, senior managers, directors who are in my cloud class. So they're saying that majority of them are using Azure Cloud in GTA, but still the king of cloud, we can say, the top cloud vendor is AWS. My policy has always been that let's learn from the king, let's learn from the top cloud, that what is cloud, and we're going to go with AWS in depth. The toughest paper here, toughest certification still is among the cloud certifications is AWS certification, because they keep on changing the questions. So if you really understand how AWS works, only then you would be able to give this exam of AWS Solutions Architect Associate. I'm going to be going towards the certifications as well. But the most cloud adoption in terms of Greater Toronto area is Azure, then AWS. I've asked my students, and then Google Cloud. A few students said that yes, their companies have Google Cloud. So in GTA, I'm just saying that. But anyway, we're gonna still cover in depth both AWS and Azure Cloud, and we're gonna do with all the tough labs there. By tough, I mean that we're gonna be creating hybrid environments. So we're gonna be going for total cloud labs, and then we're gonna go for hybrid labs as well, where we're gonna be creating our own machines, and then we're gonna be connecting from our data center to the cloud, right? So that's going to be tough. It's going to be good if you have a good experience, or at least some experience in IT, and you're kind of a troubleshooter. Because we're going to be configuring our environment step by step. I'm going to be showing everything to you, and you'll be following me, and then we'll be recording that, and you can just repeat those labs as well. So let's go ahead with our 3-in-1 course. These are the 3 top cloud providers in the market right now. So if we go ahead a little, so there's that website called datamation.com and cloud computing. They've done a good comparison of AWS versus Azure versus Google cloud comparison, and they've been doing that since 2017, then 2018, and now 2019 as well. So, and then there's a YouTube resource, or there are many YouTube videos for comparisons. I just go for the latest ones, so we could have best idea about what's going on in the market. Google Cloud is really gaining in this cloud space as well. So this is a site where there had been done some latest comparisons. So I'm just going to go down to AWS, user reviews of AWS, user reviews of Microsoft Azure, and reviews of cloud platform. So this diagram also shows how much of the companies are going for cloud. I'm going to click allow to this. There was request. So it shows here. Okay, so I'm also connected from my cell phone, so I could see that the slide is coming after some time. Now, it says here enterprise cloud adoption. So, percent of respondents running applications. So, majority of the users are still running applications on AWS, but Azure is also gaining momentum here. Although still there's a big gap between AWS and Azure in terms of revenue, in terms of a lot of services, where AWS already have those services and Azure is still getting those services up and running. So when we go through all the services, you will know that. So we're going to go in depth with the AWS cloud. We're going to do lots of labs there for the AWS cloud. Then we're going to go for Azure, and we're going to do lots of labs for Azure as well. So you're going to be able to compare easily that which cloud provider has which particular service better running in their data centers, and which cloud vendor has which particular service better running and better priced in their data centers. So that's why it's a 3-in-1 course. You get to compare all three clouds there. We're going to go in depth with Azure and AWS because they are really in demand in the market. We're going to go for basic labs of Google Cloud as well. The main thing is that if you learn the two best cloud platforms already, any other cloud platform you will be able to figure out very easily after that, right? So that's why just the introduction to and basic labs for Google Clouds are Google Cloud are included, because you would know very well in depth at AWS and Azure. So running apps, experimenting, and plan to use. So running apps, 68% of AWS is being used by the respondents of this survey. So this is just one particular survey from datamission.com. So there are many other surveys where AWS is really leading by a big gap from Azure. Then there's Google Cloud, then there's IBM Cloud, VMware Cloud on AWS. This is a very cool thing. VMware has done collaboration with AWS. So if you're a VCP already, then you should do the Azure and AWS certifications as soon as possible. So I'm going to give you a certification roundup as well, that which are the hot certifications nowadays in the market and which ones you should be going for as soon as possible. Obviously, we're going to be offering you all the resources to do those certifications. If you understand all the concepts, you will be able to pass those exams. So IBM Cloud is there, VMware Cloud on AWS, then Oracle Cloud is there, and then Alibaba Cloud in China. So these are all gaining momentum there. I'm gonna click allow here. So you can see from the diagram as well. Then there are overall pros and excuse me, cons. But I'm just giving this site. I'm gonna you can just go to this site datamission.com as well, and you would see all the comparisons. But I'm just gonna go back to the slide here because these reviews you can read anytime from that site. Overall, when we talk about the cloud providers, that's a 2017 count there. That AWS has 42 locations, regions, 8 coming soon. Azure has 34 locations, 4 coming soon. So when we say location, it's the regions and availability zones. Region is that big, huge area where then you have multiple availability zones. Within one availability zones, you have 3 to 8 data centers. Now, each data center has 300,000 servers, up to 300,000 servers, right? So again, region is a very huge area. Like you could say that Ontario could be considered one region. Then there are availability zones that are spread across the cities, but nearby. And then each availability zone, for example, availability zone is GTA could be one availability zone. Then Ottawa and Greater Ottawa area, right? That could be one availability zone. So cities nearby should be, they create availability zone. Then if suppose GTA or Greater Toronto area is the availability zone, one of the availability zone in the region in AWS. So Toronto can have one data center, Markham can have the other data center, Mississauga may have the third data center. So data centers are created nearby, so the machines could fail over, virtual machines could fail over, right? And each data center can have up to 300,000 servers. So one data center having this much huge servers. So normally one availability zone normally contains 3 to 8 data centers. So we're going to be going still repeating that throughout the course. This is just a brief introduction that how many data centers across the planet AWS has, and how many data centers across the planet Azure has. So they're both neck to neck, gaining momentum there. AWS still is on the top. Azure is still following up. So if I go ahead with the Google Cloud regions, so there are 20 regions by Google Cloud, and 64 zones. What is called availability zone by AWS and Azure is called zones by Google Cloud. And then there are 134 network edge locations, and 200 plus countries and territories have access to Google Cloud as well. So these big companies, these three bigs, AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, they are creating their data centers across the globe real fast. And by some analysis, it will be they're saying that data centers might shrink and be gone forever by next 5 years. But there are some analysis that data centers might shrink, but large companies might still want to have a copy of their critical data on premises, on in their data center as well. So data centers might shrink, but they would still be there for coming decade. So there are these two types of opinions there. But cloud, you will see very soon a lot of critical workload that is going to be shifted towards the cloud. So joining or doing the cloud certifications now is the need of the time. You have to really do those certifications as soon as possible. Otherwise, everyone is doing anyway. So when you really realize that, oh, I should have done the cloud course and I should have done the cloud certifications way back, so I could have gotten this job. So by the time you realize that, you will learn the hard way that everyone else have done all the cloud certifications, and then you're just joining that bandwagon. So that's not going to be good for you. So now is the time to do those cloud certifications. Now is the time to really understand in depth all the cloud services and do the comparisons as well. That's why the course is 3-in-1. So when you go to the interview, when you go for a promotion, when you're telling the company that hey, I'm the cloud resource from now on because I've done all three certifications, or I've done at least AWS and Azure. So when they ask you, okay, can you give us a comparison, which is the best and what services from which cloud is better? So you should be able to answer all those now, right? Because there are so many good jobs now. Now is the time to really jump into the cloud market. So anyway, you must be hearing about cloud a lot. That's why so many of you are here. Otherwise, of course, if it was not important, you wouldn't be here. Normally, I do a comparison, or I do a market analysis of that as well. And the best way to analyze the market is if you go for the latest job announcements, right? And latest job announcements, where best to go than to go for the recruiter sites or job sites where latest jobs are being announced. So I'm on Indeed.com, and if I just type here AWS, and even if I type here AWS and Azure, so space Azure, so you can see a lot of jobs are coming there. And I've just put here in Indeed.com AWS space Azure, and then Greater Toronto area, right? So this is just in Greater Toronto. So in Mississauga, there is Case Bank Technologies Incorporation. They need Azure AWS guys. Systems Development Engineer 3, Toronto. Tech Data Corporation, they need that. Infrastructure, they have even given, when they give the salary, this means they really are desperately looking for cloud experts, right? Or whatever skills they have asked there. They are looking for those skills desperately. Then they give the salary 90,000 per year. So security and compliance specialist, Loyalty One, Toronto, cloud AWS support engineer. So AWS directly is asking in Oakville. Soft Choice, they regularly upload cloud jobs. And then full stack engineer in Mississauga, and Richmond Hill system engineer. They all need, and there's a long list, right? So they all need cloud experts right now. And if you keep going down, that's a very long list. So if you type AWS, Azure, and then you go for GTA, Greater Toronto Area, and Indeed.com, you will see a long list of jobs there. They are looking for cloud experts, or if you have any familiarity. So nowadays, even if you don't have job experience with AWS and Azure, if you have previous infrastructure experience, if you have handled some of the company's network there, and then you get on top of that you get a AWS and Azure, so the companies are still calling those candidates who the companies know that they don't have AWS and Azure experience in the company, handling that in the company, but since they have previous infrastructure handling experience, plus they have done this certification, so then the demand is a lot for those candidates. And then the companies just say that, hey, it's okay, you can just test our environment and then implement all that. So that's very good. Now is the time to really do the cloud course, and now is the time to do those certifications. This is one other proof that AWS Azure and or the cloud market is really hot right now, because you can see a lot of jobs here in Indeed.com, Monster.ca, Glassdoor.ca. You could just go to all those recruiter sites and you will see that so many jobs are there, right? If I go back to the slide here, what we are doing is we're still doing some more comparison here. Enterprise public cloud adoption 2018 versus 2017. AWS was adopted still the most. Azure was adopted still the second one. Google Cloud the third one, and then goes for IBM Cloud, VMware Cloud on AWS, Oracle Cloud, Alibaba Cloud. So you should know all the other vendors as well. What is the competition in the market? Okay, there's a question in chat. What about entry-level jobs? So if you have Office 365 and Azure experience, Ishan, then Azure and Office 365 will still get to the entry-level jobs even. One of my student in George Brown College, she went for interview for a desktop support job, and they asked the first question, do you know AWS, how to create users in AWS, and how to create users in Azure? So she was also astonished that, hey, where did the cloud come from? But just creating users and configuring this basic security for the users, that is expected from entry-level guys as well. So when you go through the course, you would definitely be going through how to create users, but we're going to go a bit more in depth, so that will be an extra experience. Yes, if you do cloud, if you have cloud skills, there's a demand on the entry level for the beginners as well. In my other classes for cloud, majority of them are beginners. I mean, like not beginners, as desktop support guys are majority, not total beginners like no idea about IT. You must have some IT level IT experience, some basic experience, right? So after that, obviously, the cloud, you can say level 1 tickets you can still resolve, which is you can start a virtual machine on the cloud, you can stop a virtual machine, delete a virtual machine, and you can create users in the cloud. So they will still expect you to be familiar about AWS, Azure, Google Cloud environments there, right? So yes, entry level jobs also have requirement. Okay, so if we go ahead a little more, a number of VMs in cloud right now. So VMware vSphere. Virtual machines. When we go to virtual machines, so at 80% of the market has VMware, right? So I do start this all discussion about hybrid environment and why it is very important. So in future, your combination should be for the certification of VMware as well, because you're going to be facing that very soon. And that is that if suppose so I'm back to MS Paint right now, and I'm creating a diagram on MS Paint. I hope it is appearing in your screen now. So suppose this is the Toronto office. Toronto office. There's a question on chat. How this is helpful for data architect or business intelligent or BI project manager position, since it is related to infrastructure. So data architect, whenever you say architect, so this course is about cloud architect. When you say data architect, so obviously when you go for databases there, and especially when you go for big data, so AWS is offering big data services, business intelligence services. Azure is offering big data and business intelligence services, and Google Cloud is a specialist in that. So obviously you will learn the rest of the infrastructure services that are offered by the cloud vendors, but big data and business intelligence services are the specialty of the cloud. So when you go through this course, obviously you will touch that portion as well, where you can just plan that how many databases you want to deploy for analysis analytics of data that has been uploaded to AWS cloud or Azure cloud. So obviously this is pretty much related what you're talking about, and project managers normally are supposed to know what's going on in the cloud when they do upload workload or databases that are going to host a huge amount of data, and in that data you'll be running business intelligence services and data analytics software and queries. So definitely these data architect and BI that you're talking about is pretty much related to these AWS and Azure cloud vendors. Um, and this course is about, I was gonna introduce about the certification as well. Welcome. So the AWS certification name is AWS Solutions Architect Associate level. So basically, we're going to know that how can we architect this whole environment. How can we suggest that how much machines for which kind of service you're going to deploy. But definitely, it includes databases as well. Okay, so I was talking about that ultimately you're gonna see this environment, and that is hybrid. And what that means is your data center is connected to cloud, right? So your virtual machine that is running either on Hyper-V or VMware here. So Hyper-V or VMware hypervisors here. So the virtual machines running here right now, currently, that's what's going on in majority of the companies. Their critical workloads are running on these hypervisors, and those are virtual machines. So virtualization is being used a lot in our data centers. But now they are saying that, hey, let's just test by uploading the test workload. Oh, guys, are you able to hear me? There's a Oh, okay. There's a yes. So 467-320-795 because you didn't put your name, so the number. Well, all others are saying that they can hear me, so you could just try to log in again. I'm gonna just press yes to your request. Alright, guys. So we're gonna continue with that, and obviously, what am I saying? Yes, we're good. Okay. So no, that number was saying Amir bhai no sound, but I was then telling him to restart or log in again. But obviously, since he cannot hear me, so anyone can tell that number there 467 guy to just relog in, right? Okay, guys. So what we're talking about that in a hybrid environment, your data center is connected to cloud. So virtual machines on VMware Hypervisor and Hyper-V, they have to be now migrated to the cloud vendors. You could face any of those cloud vendors, and some of you are facing right now those cloud vendors. Any of those would be you would be asked to upload the machines on. So we're going to try to do the migration as well, and what are the ways to migrate the machines from your local data centers which are based on VMware and Hyper-V. So we're going to be creating our VMware ESXi hypervisors. We're going to be creating their Hyper-V hypervisor as well, and from both we're going to check that how can we migrate machines from your data center, from your laptop, from your desktops to the AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. We're going to try to do that. We have a big lab in Azure, especially because Azure, so many students in the market are saying they have Azure. So I have created that Azure migration lab as well as Azure failover lab. So your virtual machine is here, locally available in Hyper-V, and then we're going to fail it over to the AWS or to Azure cloud. So this is another lab. This is a big lab as well. But this is how you're going to gain a lot of experience and confidence, especially that how to make your infrastructure partially available in the cloud as well as already it is there in local data centers, and how can you fail over to the cloud. And that's a big thing. Failing over is really something that if you achieve, your demand in the market is more. So hybrid environment, yes, we're going to be talking about that. But first of all, our labs will be all about how to configure AWS, how to configure the virtual machines in AWS. Virtual machines, and then the major areas in any cloud class always are virtual machines or compute. How to do that is called basically compute. How do you handle compute, which is virtual machines. Now virtual machines are called EC2 instances in AWS. In Azure they're called virtual machines, and Google Cloud they're called compute engine. So they have all given different names there. So if you go through once to that with that, and you have one table which service is called what in AWS, what it is called in Azure, what it is called in Google Cloud, that will be very impressive for the market, for interviews, for your managers. So we're going to be talking about in AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, how virtual machines work there, then how storage of each of them is configured, how network of each of them is configured, how databases for all of them are configured. Then can we install Active Directory, because majority of the environments have Microsoft Windows Active Directory installed there. So we're going to install our Active Directory in AWS. We're going to install it on the cloud. In Azure, we're going to have it locally in our local data center as well as in the cloud. And in Google Cloud also, we're going to check if we can have Active Directory and we can join machines to domain while they're in the cloud. So these are some of the scenarios that you will get in the market. That's why I've included lots of labs for these. That's why this course is lengthy as well, because it's supposed to finish in 40 hours. We're gonna safely finish it in 50 or 55 or 60 hours. Normally I just keep going, right? Until we finish the topics, I just keep going. So it's not like, oh, there's a rush here, oh, I need to finish the course. No, okay, this topic we could not cover, let's just skip that. It doesn't work that way. So when we start something, we better finish it the perfect way, right? So, and we make sure we understand what we're doing, right? Second thing, we do it perfectly, we repeat the labs. Third, fourth thing, you need to do certifications as soon as possible, right? So these are some of the major areas that we'll be covering for both AWS Azure, but we're going to definitely cover the exam objectives of the certification for AWS and for Azure. And for, well, if you want to go for Google Cloud, better go for, what my suggestion is in terms of certification, be an expert of AWS and Azure. That's very good enough for you. So you can do these two. So I'm going to go with the certification cost. So there's a question in chat, what is the certification cost here? $150 for AWS exam, $150, and Azure is $165. So AWS is $150, Azure is $165 US. So it's not like CCNA, which is $400, right? So you can still give. It's just that AWS is really challenging. They keep changing questions, because AWS on their website also have written very clearly that we know how students are passing the exam. So that's why we are changing our questions regularly. So of course, there's this website called, we all know that name, right? www.examcollection.com. So the whole planet Earth goes to this website and download the dumps, and they just simply pass the exam. But if you don't know the technology in depth, obviously it will not help you at all. Then there is also Pass Leader. There are many others, right? So many others. But the main thing is that we need to get the certifications. When they call, then they will ask you how to do what. So that's where certifications fail. Then your actual experience is going to count. So many of my students in other classes uh, uh, have tried to give the exam. Azure, they have all pretty much passed. AWS, only 4 of them passed out of many classes. Only 4 were able to pass AWS. You really need to show some determination. But once you pass, there are many jobs waiting for those who have done AWS. Anyway, there's another question, and that is, what is the certification name and number code for both AWS and Azure? The latest ones, please. Okay, so definitely I'm going towards certification detail now, and trying to put there. Okay, I'm click allow here for another request. Okay, so I'll just go back to the slide now, guys. This was just one scenario I was talking about. So this also means that you should be going for VCP certification. VCP 6.5 or 6.7 is a must-have certification. Why? If your company says, hey, we have 200 virtual machines here, can you migrate it to Azure or AWS or Google Cloud? So you have to really know VMware first, and then you will be able to migrate it to the cloud. So you know cloud very good, suppose, but you don't know VMware. So I mean, that's not a very good combination here. So the hot combination we can say is that you must be it's good to have a VCP. If you don't have it, it's okay, just put it in the plan, right? That this is one of the certifications that you should take while you're taking AWS Azure. Before or after is okay, but do keep that in mind that you should be VCP 6.5 or 6.7 real soon, right? Because all migrations are coming from Hyper-V or VMware, and 80% of the data center market is with VMware. 80% of the global data centers. So that's what I was talking about, hybrid environment. Let's go back to our. If there are any questions, I'm looking at the chat in my second screen, but you can ask any question anytime, right? So I'm just going to go back to the slide here, and let's check what we were trying to talk about. So certification related questions are there, and definitely I'll be covering that as well. So I'm just going to go ahead, and yes, we understand that yeah, cloud, AWS, Azure are really in the market. Well, introductions can come later when we start at the actual class. Today is the demo class, right? Although I have planned a lab here on the demo class as well. But once we start the actual class on Wednesday, so you then I'll be asking for introductions as well. So I'm just going to skip that for now. About myself as well, my name is Amir, and I have 15 plus years of experience in IT, and I was an administrator in a university back home, and also in a local bank, Scotia Bank. I was there for 5 years. Then I do contracts whenever they are available, but I basically teach. I've been teaching in Humber College. Currently, I'm teaching with George Brown College, NetPlus College, and there are other private career colleges here. And I go for all advanced subjects with hands-on, pretty much hands-on labs. Without hands-on, we cannot learn. So we have to be totally hands-on, right? Even for those who are going for architect level, if they're, in my other classes, managers come and managers tell me that, hey, we're not going to be implementing that, but I need to know what my team is doing. And sometimes my team is, BSing with me, right? Like the manager asked that, hey, why did you delete those machines, or why those machines were restarted? So they could just give any reason that could be technical, but a lot of blah 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 there. So the manager comes there. Normally they want to know all terminologies and all step by step processes, so they would catch also their subordinates what they're talking about. So anyway, many managers come and take these courses as well, just to be familiar with all the terminologies and how really the cloud works in the basically, right? So I just teach all the advanced courses: SQL Server, Exchange Server, Office 365, Azure, AWS, and now there are so many changes coming. So we're going to be talking about that too. Microsoft is really changing a lot of stuff. Office 365 also very important. I'm going to go ahead again. Public cloud adoption, we've been talking about that, that there are so many companies who are going for multi-cloud. So guys, when you say that one company is only with Azure, that's wrong. Or when you hear that, that's wrong. So many companies have some services running on AWS, some services they're running on Azure, and even some companies have three clouds. So some services are running on Google Cloud as well. But majority of the companies you will still say see that either they are on fully on Azure or they are fully on AWS. So there's a mixture in the market. Multi-cloud as well as single cloud adoption is there. So I'm just going to go ahead. Again, we're just talking about the salary survey of 2018. Then I'm going to come down to certification as well. But you can see here, AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate. This is tough one, and this is our course. For AWS, we're going for AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate, right? And the salary structure for 2018 has been collected. So the in first 5 certifications, other than security and governance, well, project management, it is AWS Certified Developer and AWS Certified Solutions Architect. So we're going for Solutions Architect Associate. And when we say architect and associate, that doesn't mean that they are basic certifications. They are really tough. This is a really tough certification, and I've added some labs from even the next level, which is sysops, right? So anyway, you can see that the first 5 has AWS, 2 certifications of AWS, and the salary structure here as well as showing there from the survey from majority of the companies there. And while I was saying that VMware is a must-have, you don't even see the VMware on the top 10. But I will still say VMware is a must-have, because when the companies ask that, hey, can you just shift the workload from our data center to cloud, it's going to be VMware you're going to be facing in majority of the time, right? Okay, anyway, let's go ahead and you see the salary structure here, how hot the AWS and Azure certification is, especially the AWS. And then 2017, it was the same, and it is the same in 2018. This is a 2017 survey. We don't have to look for that, but it's making the top 5 consecutively. And 2019 also, when this releases, I'll be checking that. And yeah, the job postings, majority of the job postings are coming from AWS, then Google, then Azure. Now this could be a survey in US, but in Canada, or I can't say about the Canada, but the top business destination in Canada is Toronto, and Toronto has more Azure. But anyway, let's go ahead a little. Then there's history of AWS. We're gonna talk about the history a little after. I'm just gonna go for certification information, and then I'm going to come back to these slides here again, because the question is about certification. So I'm just going to be coming back to that. How many companies are using AWS? Many, and there's a link there. That's a very long link with a very long list of companies that are using AWS for their data centers. So there are many of those, okay, exam strategy. So AWS Certified Solutions Architect exams, foundational exams, associate exams, professional exams, specialty exams, certifications. Now there is that professional, associate, and foundational. But you know what? This is not the latest ones. This is not the latest one. So my youngest kid is crying right now in the background. So he's being hurled out of the room. Ha ha ha. Anyway, so I'm gonna go for the latest page there, because that's not the latest page. This is it. Oh, okay. Cloud practitioner. Okay, that is the one. So guys, there is basic certification, foundational for AWS, and that is called AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner. AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner optional, and there's architect level, there's a developer level, there's an operations level. But what we are doing is associate level. It's tough. It's pretty much really tough certification. So we're there. But if suppose you're unable to do the Certified Solutions Architect Associate, you should at least go for the practitioner level as soon as possible. But again, the companies might want you to know about solutions architect, and they might be interested in these skills instead of the practitioner skills. But you get to put AWS on your resume at least. I try to stick to AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate. That pretty much covers a lot of those practitioner, pretty much all of those practitioner exam objectives. Plus, I have added the labs of SysOps as well. AWS Certified SysOps, which is the next level. So if you're a programmer, you can go for developer certification as well. And then comes the professional, which is Solutions Architect Professional. So if AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate is tough, then of course it will be tougher. But once you have gone through properly and done all the labs with this certification associate level, any other certification will be not that tough for you. You will have a very good idea about what we're talking about. But if you go for sysops directly or any other, that's not a very good idea, because then they go for specific services in these certifications, while here we go all out with all services that any company would require. So that's why the scope for this certification is more among the companies. If you go for job announcements in indeed.com, monster.ca, they specifically, many of them specifically ask for AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate, because it's pretty much hands-on, plus it talks about architect as well. How would you really architect the whole environment there? So that's why it's really important to go for this certification. I'm sticking to this in other colleges as well. Managers and IT administrators, system administrators, those who come, they all are interested in exactly this certification, AWS Certified Solutions Architect, right? So all others you can go for, suppose you are CCIE. So that would be very good if you go for AWS Certified Advanced Networking Specialty. If you're going for big data, then analysis, then you go and go for AWS Certified Big Data Specialty certification. But these all you can go after knowing the AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate, right? Then security, of course, these are the three separate fields: network, big data, and security. So that's why they have specialty certifications for that. So in AWS, we are going for associate, and this is the one, right? But in Azure, let me just go ahead a little. So in Azure, this is the past. This is 70-533 used to be what I was teaching before. But then they changed this or upgraded this certification of Azure from 70-533, which is implementing Microsoft Azure Infrastructure Solutions, to AZ 101, 100, 102. First they named it that. So let me just take you to the page where they have actually done that certification changes. I have opened that page there. So if you go to Azure certification, and that would be more important for you as well, because you're gonna face Azure much sooner than AWS. But in order to understand cloud, better to go in depth with AWS first and then Azure. So Azure certifications, if I just go Google it, they've made a lot of changes, and some changes are kind of scary changes now. This is Microsoft.com. Yeah, let's hear it from straight from the horse's mouth. Yeah. So okay, there's a join request here. Allow. Yeah. So about Azure certification, before it was 70-533 that was showing you a moment ago. Now then there is AZ Azure 102, AZ and that AZ 102. So let me just make it a little bigger here. I hope you're able to see that bigger version. So what I'm doing here is AZ 102, and that is retiring June 30. So some students are running for it, right? So you have 13 days right now to pass this certification, but after that is coming this one, AZ 103. And the troubling thing is that AZ 102 is all multiple choice, but AZ 103, that is in the history of Microsoft, this is the first time I'm seeing that a majority of you will be seeing that they have added labs as well, and they have added some PowerShell commandlets there as well in the labs. So actual labs, like you have to power on the machine, you have to go with the shell, cloud shell, and then run some commands there. So in AZ103 they have added some labs. We're going to be doing those labs as well. I'm going to try to grab what labs are coming in the exam. Of course, when we go for hands-on, so you will be able to then do majority of those labs. But AZ103 is the only choice after June 30. Today is 17 June. So if any one of you want to label on your resume Azure, you're going to be doing all the labs anyway, right? So labs are still the same, whether it is AZ102 or technology is still the same. If it is now after 30th June, it will be known as AZ103. The technology still remains the same. The way they're going to test you will be more tougher after 13 days. So if you want to go for this exam, many are going for this exam, so go for it ASAP. AZ102. And anyway, I'm going to be preparing you for AZ103 as well. Yeah. So thank you, Amin Bhai, for putting that. You can just put it on the chat as well. Or yeah. So alright guys, this is AZ102. We're going to be preparing anyway. But AZ103 is my focus in this course, where there will be PowerShell commands there as well. Obviously, some companies might want you to have the skill of AZ103 because that tests you on practical level, right? But yes, as the popular trend is, they whenever any certification is about to expire, then thousands of or hundreds of students just pass that certification right away. So that's a good time to pass AZ102. And do share with others your experience. If you went through that or you recently passed it, you can share with us how many questions were there and did they all come from the dump, so others can also go for it. Okay, so what we're covering here is AWS Azure, AWS Solutions Architect Associate. For AWS certification, we're going to be covering all the exam objectives of AWS certifications. Then for Azure, we're going to be covering AZ102 automatically will be covering when we go for that, and AZ103 would be my focus to cover all the material or the way they're gonna test now after 30th June. I'm gonna be covering for that because in 13 days it's gonna go, while this course will last for what 2 months, I guess. So we can make it 3 days a week as well, or we can make it 2 days a week, 4 hours daily, so we can finish it early as well. And that's what my preference is, that we finish. We work hard, we record every session, and there are lots and lots of labs there. So you're going to be feeling really comfortable once you're done with all the hybrid labs and online labs there. So anyway, go for it if you can, and do share your experience with for the certification, right? So certification wise, we're concentrating on AWS and Azure. Google Cloud certification may not be really hot in the market, but Google Cloud skills seems to be gaining momentum in GTA market. So that's why there will be introduction to Google Cloud, and I'm going to show you, hey, that service in AWS and Azure, this is this, and this service in AWS and Azure is that in Google Cloud. So you will have a good comparison of Google Cloud. We're going to create an account there. We're going to log into Google Cloud as well after we are done in depth with AWS and Azure, right? So all the links are there in the chat as well. We're going to concentrate on learning the skills, and we're going to try to go hardcore on the cloud skills. But then obviously for the Canadian market, you must certify ASAP, right? If any exam is valid, we're going to send you that dump and you could just give that exam, set it aside, and then try to learn the labs. We go this way as well, right? But better understand everything because you will have to face it anyway. Okay guys, so we talk about certifications here, that AZ103 will and 102. I'm going to be covering both, and there's another join request here. Allow. So I'm going to go back to the slide there, and what we were talking about before. So the two certifications now, it's going to be AZ103, the more focus on, and AWS Solutions Architect, the two certifications that are really hot in the market. We're going to be going for those two certifications now, right? Any questions you can just put in the chat. I'm looking at that all the time. So we were talking about the history of AWS as well, that in 2006 AWS began offering IT infrastructure services to businesses in the form of web services, now commonly known as cloud computing. So they started this on 2006, and the key benefit is you don't have to really wait for the blade servers to be purchased. You don't have to wait for the rack servers to be procuring those servers. 6 weeks you have to wait for them. Instead, you can just start hundreds of machines in a matter of seconds. We're going to be going for that feature called auto scaling, and then there is cloud formation, where you can run a code and it will create the whole infrastructure for you with multiple subnets, multiple virtual machines, one Active Directory, one database server, suppose one web server. You want to create the whole thing, you can create it with a code. And the automation skills and code skills are really required in the market, so we're going to go through those labs as well. Yeah, that's what we talked about. That Amazon is in 190 countries here, and it's expanding in US, Europe, Brazil, Singapore, Japan, Australia, etc., etc., right? So all those countries. And we talked about regions already, but when we say the AWS cloud operates 44 availability zones within 16 geographic regions around the world, with announced plans for 17 more availability zones and 6 more regions in Bahrain, China, France, Hong Kong, Sweden. And second, AWS Gov Cloud. So is cloud secure? That's not even a question nowadays, because US government has their own cloud in AWS as well as in Azure. So government employees log in from Gov Cloud, right? And also Department of Defense, they have their workload on AWS and Azure cloud. Also, all the ministries in US and Canada, they also have some of their workloads in the cloud. So of course many banks have shifted their work or are shifting their work to the cloud. So of course they all are very sensitive areas, and if they have gone through the security, then only they would be approving to upload their work in the cloud. So definitely it is secure, and that's why it's hot in the market. So, and when we talk about region, availability zone, and servers, so I'm just gonna go for another diagram here, because of course with diagrams we understand better. So on the map you will have, first of all, regions. So as we talked about regions already, that there would be a huge area. You could just say that suppose on US East, Ohio is one region, North Virginia could be another region, and these are states, right? Big states. So there's a question in chat: is it required to know any languages to become solutions architect? So there's a question here, and language, in terms of language, you should be good in Python language when you come for that, and that's one hard language that it really cloud really understands the code coming from Python. So what languages we need to learn? So Python would be the most recommended. I'm if you have a developer background, you can go for others as well. And for automation, there's Ansible. There are Terraform. Terraform is just a solutions software, but Ansible is also one more that you can learn. So Ansible. So these will be useful for you when it comes to languages for the cloud, right? So we were talking about regions there. So if US Canada East could be one region, so there will be two to 8 availability zones there, availability zones. And when we say 2 to 8 availability zones, then it could be and each availability zone can have 2 to 8 data centers, and this goes for both AWS and Azure and Google Cloud. 2 to 8 data centers, and each data center can have 100,000 to 300,000 servers. So if each data center is so huge, then availability zones having 2 to 8 data centers, and then in one region there are 2 to 8 availability zones. So you can see that how big infrastructure they have created there. So all companies can get rid of their data centers and put their workload on these vendors' data centers, right? So when we say region, you should understand, you should have that map in mind, that what scale are we talking about. So when AWS, Azure, Google Cloud are saying that, hey, we are about to create a region in South Africa or East Africa or West Africa, North Africa, or any other continent, so you should know that this is a very big infrastructure, that is millions or possibly $1 billion of investment that they are looking for, they are talking about, right? And again, any questions there? I'm looking at the chat, but I'm just going to go with the slide right now. So we need to understand the cloud. Also, I do talk about the career, program as well. That what should be the number of other certifications that we should go for before I normally go ahead with these specific topics there. So there is that. So there are so many certifications. Then what set of certs should I go for in order to apply for a systems administration jobs ranging from 25 per hour to 60 per hour? So then I recommend that you should have, there should be must have courses, and then there are must have courses, and there are good to have courses. So if we go for first one, of course, there's that MCSA 2012 or 2016 is a must have course. You should be expert in any one operating system, either Linux or Microsoft. Then there's other certification is MS Exchange, but nowadays really must have certification is Office 365. Office 365 is a combination of uh, four courses, separate courses. So it's kind of 4-in-1 course. We cover Exchange Server Online. We cover SharePoint Online, which is a separate course, but it is included in Office 65. Then we cover Sky for Business, which is for meetings and conferences. And now Office 65 is making a change. They are introducing Microsoft Teams. So that's very interesting. I've just delivered that course in one college there. Office 365, which is now called actually Microsoft 365. So I would recommend that if you're going for AWS Azure, you should go for Office 365 certification as well. That's going to be really good combination in terms of cloud certifications that you have, right? So Office 365 is a must-have certification. Then we come to System Center Configuration Manager, SCCM. This is of course advanced certification. After you've done must-have, then you go for this certification as well. And many of my students were saying that all of a sudden they were given System Center Configuration Manager server there to deploy Windows updates on thousands of machines, or to upgrade Windows 7 to Windows 10 in large scale. So any kind of changes you want to make on thousands of machines, you can do it with System Center Configuration Manager. And now it has a very impressive cloud touch as well. So we're going to be soon launching this Microsoft 365 course, as well as System Center Configuration, just like this online way. So then there is must have VMware course, VCP 6.5 or 6.7. This is also a must have course that you should have. So virtualization on data center you should know, and obviously Office 365 is cloud configuration. So then other courses, Citrix. Now this is advanced as well. If you know Citrix, this is good. Otherwise, first you go for must have, then you go for SCCM and Citrix. Then ITIL. I hope many of you have already ITIL. That is for change management in your IT department. So if you go for all the modules and then give the exam, this is very good to have in your resume. Then CCNA, obviously you need to know routers and switches, and the virtual routers and switches have already come in the market. VMware has virtual switches there, and now networking is advanced in all the cloud vendors as well. So CCNA is a must-have, and they are making a lot of changes very soon now in terms of they're going to be introducing cloud side of the Cisco as well. And then RHCSA, this is Red Hat certified. So either you're an expert in MCSA or you're an expert in Red Hat Linux, right? So be an expert on anyone, or if you an expert of one and you know the other, that's even better than that, because all AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, they have virtual machines, and those virtual machines either have Microsoft or it has Linux. So if you know one and be an expert of other, you're good. And then the must have, you must have the Azure cloud certification and AWS. I don't say that have anyone, I say that have both. You must have both now. So in future, at least your future will be safe, because you have done certification, for example, in these 2 months, 3 months, and in next year there's a job opportunity, very good job opportunity. So they will see your resume and they will see the date when you get certified, right? So that will be 1 year before. So that normally they consider as experience as well. So it's better to do the certification now and put it on resume, and do all the labs perfectly. So years to come, they will count it as an experience. Oh, he did that certification 2 years ago. Okay, that's good. And that guy did certification yesterday. Let's go for the 2 years ago guy, right? So doing the certification now would be really good for you in future, right? So again, must have MCSA 2012 2016. Must have is Office 365. Must have is VCP, and must have CCNA, and then must have. I would say minimum one of those, but normally I push my students for both of those. Go for AWS and Azure. First do Azure, it is a bit simpler. Then go for AWS as well, right? So that will test your dedication for this. Okay, so let's go ahead a little. And so this is just a career talk that I always do. A certification material will be provided. In fact, we are going for 1 year subscription for examcollection.com, and it is for 1 year. You just have to pay $40, and if you pay $40 for 1 year, whatever certification you want downloaded latest, I'll be providing you that. But I'll be adding your name in Excel file, and then you can just ask me throughout the year, hey, can you download CCNA certification? Can you download the latest file for VMware? Can you download the latest file for Microsoft or Azure Cloud? So it will be just $40 for 1 year. So that's a very low price. It's lower than cheap for in terms of career. If you get a job of 35 per hour after that, when you've done 6 or 7 courses, so this $40 would have been worth it. So whoever wants to join this, let me know, or let Amin Bhai know as well. So we're just in the process of purchasing that examcollection.com 1 year subscription. Okay, guys. So let's go ahead a little and talk about in the field of IT. If you really want to survive, it's good to have a good hardware first. Try to plan at least for a desktop or a laptop, minimum 16 GB. But nowadays, in AWS lab, although it's a cloud course, there are some storage gateway. That's a lab there. We're gonna be doing that storage gateway. And when we download the virtual machine, that virtual machine for its own running requires 16 GB RAM. So that's why I say and push my students always, hey, go ahead and purchase a good hardware. If you want to survive in the field of IT, you need to create networks, local networks, locally in your VMware workstation or VirtualBox environment. So better have a good desktop or a laptop with 32 GB RAM, i7 quad-core processor, SSD 500 GB. Then you can create all the environments locally, right? Oh, okay, there's a guy here, viewer 23, he's saying that he can't hear anything. So everyone is able to hear this? Everyone is able to hear my voice here? There's a yes. Okay. Oh, okay. So please sign out, sign in. All others are able to hear. Okay, guys. So thank you for confirming that. So, guys, this is just preparation for you can advance in IT career when you can test many of the newer skills on your local hardware. That's why I push every student, and majority of the students. They go for laptops. There's one guy in Mississauga. There's one guy in Etobicoke, I know, and you can Kijiji it as well. Any laptop that is from $700 up to $1,200 has this configuration of 32 GB RAM, i7 quad core processor, SSD drive, 500 GB is good for you. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, there's that message from Amin Bhai. So let's go ahead, guys, and talk further more about this course. It's always better to group together and do certifications. I'll be giving a lot of assignments to you, and this is other than what we will be doing. A lot of labs we're going to be doing in the class, and then I'm going to be challenging you by giving you the assignments. Majority of the students in other classes, cloud classes, they do those assignments, they submit those assignments. So I'm going to be giving you a scenario. First, we understand the concept. We do one lab in the class. Then I'm going to give you an assignment, which will be kind of a, we're going to call it ticket. So I'm going to be giving you tickets there. You need to resolve those tickets, right? And those are the tickets that normally we face in the production environment, in projects, in consultancy, so in contracts. So I do normally create those tickets which are practically we are resolving. Okay, so there's a question in chat as well. How good are Azure prospects now? So Arif, Azure, as I said in the at the start of the class as well, in GTA market, because I have been teaching the two-in-one course, the cloud, AWS and Azure, a lot. It's been a bit longer time now. So majority of the students are basically on Saturdays they come from different companies, right? So majority of them are using Azure. So prospects of Azure are pretty good, very good, and and those are coming from small companies, medium-sized companies, large companies as well. They ask that, okay, am I teaching Azure? I say yes, but I say that we go in depth with AWS, then we go to Azure. So they say yes, that is even better. So any company could anytime ask the cloud experts to migrate their workloads from Azure to AWS. So some students told me we just migrated from Azure to AWS, and some students said that they have some virtual machines in Azure, some in AWS. So they were all interested in both. And the jobs or Indeed.com that I showed you, they require both. Majority of the jobs say you must know both AWS and Azure. Majority of the jobs are saying that, but in GTA market I've seen Azure more, in terms of talking to my friends who are system admins in other companies, and majority of the students who come from different companies, they are saying it's Azure that they're using. So that's why I'm saying learn the king of the cloud, which is AWS, in depth. Then we go in depth with Azure as well. So that's why you will be an actual cloud expert after that. You will be able to compare easily, and you would have seen that. But Azure aspects are very strong in GTA market. Okay, so then the course objectives as well. Making decisions based on the AWS recommended architectural principles and best practices. So leveraging AWS services to make your infrastructure scalable, reliable, and highly available. So when we go for scalability, reliability, and high availability, so definitely these are some of the core skills that if you have an application running in the cloud and that application is earning your company millions of dollars, if that application goes down because of the AWS's fault, maybe the AWS, or because your internet fault, so can it be migrated or failed over to another cloud or another region? Suppose you have US East region has your application, the exact copy of that is running in US West region as well. So all your clients will be connected to US West region. if US East region for some reason had outage, right? So high availability, you have to understand how AWS offers high availability, how Azure offers high availability to your application. Scalability, very important. Suppose your company is selling a very cool product, and it's Christmas time, and you're expecting all of a sudden at the night of the Black Friday or Boxing Day, you're expecting thousands of customers there, right? In your company's website or the server which is hosting a website which is showing a product. So you expect a lot of thousands of users there coming. So what happens is you can use a service called Autoscale in AWS, and also in Azure it's another name there. But what it does is that if your customers increase, the traffic increase, it starts creating automatically virtual machines for that. So as soon as long as the customer traffic is increasing, it will keep on creating virtual machines, so it could load balance all the traffic automatically. As soon as it sees that the customer traffic has gone down, so it will start deleting those machines, some of those machines, according to the customer traffic. So that's a very intelligent way to not have your website down when you have a lot of customers there. And when the customers are not there, then you should not be charged for those virtual machines when you don't have that kind of traffic, right? So if I always say that if when Trump got elected in US, so many Americans were going to the immigration site of Canada to be immigrated to Canada. So if immigration site was hosted on AWS, then the site would not never have gone down. But because it was not on AWS, the Canadian immigration site just crashed, right? So, and that's actually a good thing, right? Because then our market would have been flooded with IT experts from US as well. We already are struggling for jobs here, seriously. Okay, just kidding. So anyway, AWS is really reliable when it comes to huge traffic. So that's why businesses are transferring their workloads on AWS and Azure. Your Netflix is running on AWS, right? So many popular services are running on AWS for on-demand videos and on-demand live streaming and other on-demand software. So scalable, yes, they are very scalable. We're going to be doing a lab for that. Highly available, yes, we're going to be doing a lab for that as well. Reliable, we're going to know about that how reliable is your data. Suppose you upload petabytes of data, that's a huge data, right? And then you think that, hey, is it reliable? How much is the data being offered there? How much of responsibility is being taken by AWS, right? So for that, you will be talking about that how much responsibilities AWS is, and where it says that it is giving full guarantee that your data will not be corrupted. It will be highly available for you whenever you want, and where the responsibility is for you instead of AWS. So okay guys, we're gonna be going ahead now, and we're gonna talk. Okay, there's another join here, allow request. So leveraging AWS services and leveraging AWS managed services to enable greater flexibility and resiliency in an infrastructure. So we're going to talk about the flexibility and resiliency of their infrastructure, since they spent billions of dollars. So obviously it better be reliable. Otherwise, why US government and others would be going there? So other than that, if we click oops, there's another join request here. Okay, so yeah, making an AWS based infrastructure more efficient in order to increase performance and reduce costs. One more thing about Cloud Expert is that you will not only be the IT person there, you will also be the accountant as well. Not, you don't need to really know accountant knowledge there, but when you are suggesting the company, hey, we can just create our file server, print server, and domain controller there in the cloud. So your boss will ask, hey, how much does it cost? You're the AWS Azure Google Cloud resource for our company, so why don't you tell us how much per hour it's going to cost, how much per minute it's going to cost, how much per month it's going to cost. So this all you need to know. So there's a cost explorer, there's a cost calculator there that really will tell you right away that how much does it cost, right? So yes, you will be not only the IT person, but you will also be the accountant. You don't really have to know a lot, because they have very good software there that will just help you connect to uh, uh, help you analyze how much software, how much of this will cost you. So definitely there are very good resources there that will let you know that how much does it cost. But yes, you're responsible for how much does it cost and how does it work, and for how long do we need it, and can we just delete it after when we have used the virtual machines or not, right? So you will be deciding that. But of course, by the end of the course, you will be able to know easily that okay, these are the machines we need, this is the services extra we need, and how long and how hard will it be, and how much it will cost. Okay, so I'm just gonna click the allow button here. Now well, this is all the course content normally for AWS and Azure. I should also be talking about the lab environment for us, because that's another thing that could be challenging. Well, in terms of AWS, it may not be that challenging, but when it comes to Azure, it could be. But that's why I've been doing this class for bit for some time now, quite some time now. So that's why we're gonna be overcoming all the challenges. So first of all, for AWS Lab, AWS Lab, we need to create a free 1 year account in AWS, and that is called AWS free tier. So we're gonna be creating that. Okay, there's another, the request is there again. Okay, so that free tier account, we're gonna be doing all the labs on that, right? The good thing is that the labs we're gonna be doing will not we will not be charged for that. So when you open the account, you have to put your credit card number, right? And then what happens is that first of all, they won't charge you, and we're going to do the lab in such a way that you won't get charged. Suppose you do get charged, it could be in cents, and AWS has always reimbursed even 1 cent if you send an email to the support that you were just testing it, right? So normally I say that, hey, we spend so much on coffee daily, right? So if they charge you $2 or $3 or few cents, while after this course, if you get a 35 per hour job, 45, 55 per hour job, so these $2-3 is should be of no importance for you. But AWS has always reimbursed, always. So what will be cost after 1 year? There's a question in the chat. So the cost will be, now after 1 year, do not use this. Delete this. So you can create another free tier account there. AWS is very generous. You can create 2 free tier accounts right now with 2 separate emails, and they will let you do that. But after 1 year, when the free tier is done, then they will start charging you. Suppose you start a virtual machine, EC2 instance. Of course, they will charge you cents per hour, some cents per hour for virtual machine. So they will charge you for everything. Then it is cents. So definitely we will delete the account as soon as the course is finished, or just don't use it after the free tier 1 year is done, right? So other rule of the lab is that when we do the labs, we test our concepts, and then we simply delete all the resources that we created in that class, in that lab, right? So that would be our other rule, that we're going to be doing so many labs. The class will be totally hands-on, right? So it become your second nature, just to when I say, okay, go to that service, go to this service, go to this service, so you'll be so used to it. You'll be going, maybe you'll be dreaming that in your dreams as well. Go to this service, AWS Azure. Okay, so we're going to be deleting all the resources that we create on that day. So suppose it's a 3-hour class or it's a 4-hour class. So we'll be deleting at the end of the class all the resources that we have created that day. For hybrid labs, we will install VMware ESXi hypervisor 6.0 and Windows 2012 R2 Hyper-V. So if you haven't ever used this software, so don't worry about that. Normally my teaching method is that I teach as if I'm teaching a 5-year-old, right? So I make sure that students are understanding. I try at least my best to make sure that students are understanding. If you don't get it, just stop me and ask that question. I keep an eye on the chat on my other screen, so any question is there, I just try to answer that right away. So the main thing is that I'm going to be providing, of course, the software, and you can just download that in your laptop. Your laptop slash desktop, whatever you're going to be doing labs on, must have at least 16 GB RAM. That's a minimum. Better go for 24 GB RAM there, but 16 GB also will survive. If it's 8 GB, the cloud labs you will still be able to do, but other labs like hybrid labs, you will have big problem. Definitely you will not be able to do in 8 GB. Okay, so that is for AWS. Now the bad news about Azure is Azure gives or offers 30 days free tier. So AWS gives 1 year, Azure gives 30 days. So that's not fair, right? So Azure offers 30 days free tier. After 30 days, or it also gives you a credit of $250 worth of usage. Offers credit of $250 worth of service usage. So after 30 days, or if you spend $250 or $2 spent, then you will have to switch to, there is no other way, right? You will have to switch to pay as you go. Now you will have to switch to pay as you go, but we will do the labs in such a way that we will not be charged. So many students who wanted to still use the free tier, so they just gave information about their wives or their other friends who, but yeah, if you want to create another account, it cannot be you. So you have to give another name, another credit card, another email, another phone number, but the home address can be same, right? So but Azure, so that's why when we are done with AWS, then we will go for creating an account in Azure at that time. When I tell you, then do that, right? So that also Azure support also refunds even if it is 1 cent. So they cannot hurt their business, right? So when you're testing, they will refund every last penny. I haven't heard any student saying that they never returned anything. One student forgot to shut down the machine, so he was charged after 30 days, and the free tier was also gone. So he was charged like $35. And when he said that I was just testing, they reimbursed the whole thing. So guys, don't worry about this $2, $3, $4, because you're going to learn the skill that might earn you 40, 50 per hour job or 35 per hour job. So don't worry about those 2, $3 or $4, right? But they reimburse even the last penny. So that's what you need to know here. Also, all the software will be provided by that, but these are the points that you need to know about the labs. In Azure also, you have to just put your credit card, while in Google Cloud uh, is offers 1 year free tier as well. So Google Cloud and AWS are really generous, but Azure, in terms of our local market of GTA, is the top. So we need to do in-depth Azure as well as AWS. All the big companies have AWS already. So you will face these two in any company, right? So AWS Azure. So that's why even if it is 30 days, we have to do all the critical labs and tough labs of Azure. You just have to be ready for any sacrifice. And sacrifice is that even if they charge you $1 or $2, just it in 2 or 3 business days they will reimburse. So the sacrifice will be to just the wait time of reimburse. That's all, right? Okay, so in all three do require that you put the credit card information, so they could know you are who you say you are, right? So this is about the lab. If there are any questions for the labs we're going to talk about, you can ask that in chat as well. So I'm going to go back to the slide here and try to check what else is there. But so if we go back to this, we were talking about regions, and we were talking about so the timing. So there's a book that I wanted to recommend as well, obviously. Now this is AWS Certified Solutions Architect official study guide, but uh, this is edition 1. Now edition 2 is there. It has been released 2 months ago. So if you go for AWS Solutions Architect study guide, so it's in Amazon right now, and I hope they have given the ebook version of that, ebook edition of that. So is this latest release? That's 2016 now. SysOps advanced. Okay, so certified advanced networking. Practitioner architect study guide 2019. This is the one. So, and paperback Kindle edition. Whew, thank God, Kindle edition is there now. So 46.99, $47. You could just have this book. So it's the 2019 edition here. March 2019 it was released, and that's the certification is SAA C01. So that's the book study guide that you should purchase in order to properly pursue this certification. So I'm just gonna put that, and when I'm giving you this slide, I'll just actually update that. Normally I just go to the website, so I didn't update that here. So that's why it's showing like that. And the study guide. So I'm just doing everything live now. Yeah, normally I do that. I think I'm the only teacher on planet Earth who does that. Live class editing, right, of my slides. Okay, anyway, This is the book that, don't go for 2016, obviously, go for this, right? And there's a very good thing called suggestion, so I'm just gonna go for that too. Okay, 2019 edition, do purchase that. They have for Azure, you have AZ103. So they may not have released a book for that, but Solutions Architect SAAC01, this is the book for that. And I think in exam collection they have the sample questions for SAA-C01 as well. So you will have all this information already available there. So that was the old book. This is a new book. I'm just gonna send you the slide, or well, after the accounts department quote unquote accounts department confirms, then I'll be sending you all these slides and the video, or Amin Bhai will be sending you that. If there are any questions, do let me know. I'll be continuing with some more information about the Azure Architect, Azure and AWS. When we were talking about Azure, how big is the network there, right? So Microsoft Azure Cloud, the cloud you can trust with the numbers to prove. So there's 62 compliance offerings. Normally they say it like that. 90% of Fortune 500 companies trust their business on the Microsoft Cloud. Now, joining the Azure Cloud is much easier, right? Then because you majority of the companies already have Microsoft products. They have Windows Server 2016, 2019, 2008. They have Exchange Server, maybe Office 365 is the most popular SaaS based or software as a service based. You have Exchange Online, there's SharePoint Online that the companies use a lot, and large companies use that. So when they already have the licensing there, so going to Azure is much easier. That's why you will hear that majority of the companies are on Azure here. But then AWS is more reliable and more sustainable, more highly available than Azure. That's why AWS is still the market leader. But Azure is really gaining momentum, and you must be Azure certified definitely, as we talked about before as well. So 120,000 new Azure customers subscriptions per month. So that's a lot of clients that are connecting there, right? When you go to the map here, so it is 42 Azure regions, more than any cloud provider. So yes, they have data center availability also in large number, but in terms of how huge that is, how far reaching it is, AWS is still far ahead from Azure, right? So that's why you would see that each cloud provider would claim that, hey, we have more data centers, but when you go for a big analysis there, so we talk then normally they talk about major cloud players and compute market share. So share of 31% in the global cloud market is with Amazon, and 11% in the global cloud market is Azure. But this is 2017 analysis, 2019. So this 11% has increased to more than 20%, and this has increased 10 digits as well for Amazon. So, but how many minutes the cloud has been down? So many companies, suppose you say, hey, let's go for Azure. So the boss says, can you get me the 2018 last year figures of which cloud was down for how many minutes? So outage. So this is something that you should know. This is a 2016. I'm just putting that old picture because this is something that you should know every year, right? The last year, how much outage was there? So recently, I think Office 365, pretty much all of the Microsoft services were having outage for 4 hours, right? So here we're talking about 108 minutes, right? So, but I think it was last month that Microsoft was out for 4 hours. So in 2019, so when you are in 2020, for 2019 outages, this will be a big outage in the part of Azure. But anyway, Amazon AWS had 108 minutes of downtime in 2016, while Azure on the other hand had 270 minutes of downtime in the year 2016. So that was 2016. If you go for 2017 or 18, that would be just look for that, Google the figures for that, how much Amazon was down, how much Google Cloud was down, how much Azure was down. Better you should have two internet connections redundant for the company, and definitely they understand that they will be really having they're totally relying on internet. So that's why you should have one from Rogers, one from Bell, right? So you should have redundancy in internet connection. So how much downtime was there, how much outage was there, you should Google it when you are about to give facts to the company. At that time, outage strategy should be there as well. We already talked about the certifications there, and we already talked about that Azure certification is not 70-533. It is actually okay. There's a question here. If we take any course, will you help to find employment? That's a very interesting question. So this calls for a sip of water. Actually, I was just thirsty. It doesn't call for that. So, but taking any course, well, to be straightforward, I do check my students if they have the caliber to be forwarded, their resume should be forwarded or not. So many of my friends are in different companies, so from time to time they do ask. I have a job I Google group as well, where I keep on forwarding many job opportunities as my friends forward me, or I go for indeed.com or monster.ca and I pick up some jobs and their addresses, and I send it to them. So those who are a part of that group, they already are getting those recommendations. But if I want to recommend, I would just see that who has really worked hard. So in another college, I have already recommended 4 or 5 students because of their performance in different courses. So if you really work hard, yes, you will be your I will personally recommend or forward your resume when my friends ask. But will I be searching a job for you? So again, depends on if you're good in what you do. And if you go with our plan that do the course, do the certifications as well, yes, just send me the resume and I will be just forwarding that as well. Definitely. Okay, guys. So, you really have to work hard, and really have to show that progress and performance. If you're doing all the assignments, if you're doing, I'm gonna be questioning you as well. You will evaluate yourself as well, that how much tough the course is and how much hard work you have done. Normally, I expect my students to be doing 200%. This is the time to really, really work hard, because if you work hard now, you can just enjoy the rest of your life, right? But if you don't work hard now, you take it easy, you're too busy right now, then yeah, it's just a waste of time you're doing here, right? So if you're joining the course, you must be ready to give your 200%, right? Not less than that. So this is time to really work hard. After that, you will definitely enjoy the rest of your life. Some of the students who really did that, they were some of them were truck drivers, some of them were doing some other like Uber and Lyft. Actually, we all do that. I mean sometimes. So whenever we need money. So anyway, but they needed to change careers. So some of them really worked hard, and they've proved to me that nothing is impossible. After their 10-hour, 14-hour drive, they still found out some time or took out some time to do those assignments, to repeat all the labs, to do the certifications, and they used to amaze me a lot. So after that, yes, they pretty much deserve that 30 per hour job, 35 per hour job, 40 per hour job. And they are really there now. I'm in contact with them, and I do ask them, hey, if there's any job opportunity, let me know as well. So those guys do send me those opportunities. So right now is the time to give your 200%. When we start the lab, I'm gonna make sure that we go for everything hands-on. Second thing, I will make sure that you understand. Third thing, I expect you to do all the labs, repeat all the labs at home, and then do all the assignments as well. So we work hard now, you enjoy your life later, right? That's the rule. But if you don't work hard, you don't show me assignments. Okay, then what can I do? So really, we work together. That's how it works. So guys, this is now we were supposed to. So there are some comments going on in the chat. And those are being answered by Amin Bhai, so we're good. Okay, so what we do on day one, normally I go for a detailed introduction, then we basically go for so it's I read that as well, so like some legal document that are you the easygoing type? If your choice, it's your choice either to be lazy and simply attend the class, not to the instructor, pretending you understand everything he said, go home and staying being too busy to have time for study. I'm sure you're not. Or are you the hardworking type, right? So if you work hard now, I guarantee that you will get a good job, right? Uh, well, I'm sure about that because there is no guarantee if you get the job, even if you're an expert for 20 years. So try to understand, follow what instructor is saying. Let me know if I'm going fast. Ask me to repeat what you don't understand. Not shy of asking simple and easy question. Please ask questions. Every question is welcome, right? Work on your home lab and SMS me, email me with screenshots, or call me if you're stuck. Okay, stick to email and WhatsApp. But if you call me, normally there are evening classes, there are morning classes. Thank God I don't have midnight classes, but I have classes day and night, right? I would love to help, right? So normally students just send their error screens on WhatsApp. So that's how I help, and I mean I can also help you, right? So works on hands-on labs, minimum 2 hours daily. This is just a basic requirement, but you have to really make sure that if you join, you are in for real hard work, and only hard work has a good reward in today's market. If you're just following with your convenience, then you're wasting your time here, then, right? You want to work hard, you're welcome, right? So and so we will be doing lots of labs, hands-on labs. Take screenshots of all the steps, copy them in MS Word, give a one-liner to screenshots, and email me, right? So how do you take screenshots? You go for a Windows snipping tool, OneNote copying, print screen. The students in other classes, they are repeating all the labs by following the videos. So videos will be released and you have to repeat all the labs at home. Other than assignments are separate, you have to do the assignments as well, right? So this is how you really get comfortable with tough technologies, right? And we're gonna go tough. I mean, it's gonna start easy. I'm gonna go slow as well, but then we're gonna gain some speed, we're gonna gain some momentum, and then we're gonna do the tough and then toughest labs there. And you will be able to do that if you're working hard. If you're repeating the labs at home, even the toughest labs will be easy for you, right? We go step by step. I go step by step. I teach just like I'm teaching a 5-year-old. So I'll be slow. I'll try to be very clear, and I expect you to really give your 200%, right? This is how we work. Okay. You can contact. We're gonna be creating a Google group of our, or we're gonna. So I have to, communicate with you. So Amin Bhai will tell us how to do that. And we have, yeah, we've covered that. So I'm just checking what else need to be covered. Normally we do one lab today as well. If you're prepared to do that, you can create an account in AWS. So how do we create an account in AWS? This is how we so you can google, let's create an you can google the free tier account. Let's create an AWS student account in https aws.amazon.com/free. So how the format goes, we just create a free account, and then we start doing the lab. So well guys, when you decide that you want to join, so please create a free account by going to this link and go ahead and create a free account, and then we'll start the first lab on Wednesday, right? This Wednesday class is starting, and Okay, so that's a question from. So, guys, well, that's all for today. Normally, I was supposed to do a lab today as well, but we're gonna do the lab. We're gonna start all the labs from Wednesday class. So, hope to see you there. But if you're prepared to work hard, this is the time to start. And cloud certifications, this is the time to do those certifications. You otherwise you will learn the hard way that, oh, I would have done the certifications, right? So don't do that. Do it now. Okay. See you. Any questions you can ask on the chat, and Amin Bhai can take over if you want. Oh, but yeah, Amin Bhai can he take over? Okay, bridge is open. You can ask questions in the chat. Amin Bhai, I can make you the presenter. Maybe then you can talk. So how about that? Net Plus Consulting. Yeah, that's you, right? So past presenter. I've just passed you the presenter role. We cannot still hear you. You can try to unmute your mic. I mean, by. Oh, okay. So I cannot hear, but maybe others are able to hear. I mean, by.